Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're unlocking the secrets of a truly mysterious and honestly profound ancient text. Imagine having a heavily coded manual written centuries ago that claims to hold the key not just to perfect health, but to actual spiritual immortality. Well, that's exactly what we're looking at today. We're exploring the Ru Yao Jing, or the mirror for entering the medicine, and we'll be looking at it specifically through the brilliant annotations of a Qing dynasty scholar named Fu Jinquan. This text is an absolute cornerstone of Taoist internal alchemy. It's a whole system that treats the human body as this sacred laboratory. But the language, it is heavily, heavily veiled in metaphor. So we're going to act as your translators today, breaking down these ancient secrets so you can really understand the mechanics of this internal laboratory. To set the stage here, we need to understand the profound philosophical tone of this practice. The text points to this primordial energy, which is described so beautifully in this line, "There is a thing confusedly formed, born before heaven and earth." The ancient Taoists believed that before the universe even existed, there was a pure, completely unblemished energy. They called it pre-heaven qi. And the entire goal of internal alchemy isn't to look outward into the cosmos. It's actually to look inward, to find and cultivate that exact same primordial energy that still exists, completely hidden right inside you. Okay, so let's dive into our roadmap. We're going to cover finding the medicine, decoding the dragon and tiger, crossing the internal magpie bridge, exploring how intention meets creation through heat, and finally, achieving the ultimate rebirth of the fetus. Starting right off with step 1, finding medicine and rebuilding the foundation. The very first question Fu Jinquan addresses is actually super fascinating. Why is the text called Entering the Medicine rather than Entering the Elixir? Well, the crucial point is that you literally cannot build a spiritual skyscraper on a crumbling physical foundation. It just doesn't work. Think about it like this. The medicine is incredibly practical. It's the foundational prescription to cure the diseases and the general wear and tear of everyday life. The text makes a point that from youth to old age, everyone has ailments, even if we don't actively realize it. You have to first use the medicine to replenish the physical body, your organs, your limbs, your bones. Only once the body is whole and healthy, without any leaks of energy, can you finally move on to the elixir, which is a pathway to ultimate divine transformation. Basically, the medicine has to heal the body first. And this isn't just some abstract theory. The text describes highly tangible, physiological sensations when you actually attain this internal medicine. It replenishes your bones and marrow, and it solidifies your qi and blood. But the subjective feeling, that's what's truly remarkable. The text says that when you obtain this energy, you walk around in a state of feeling pleasantly, beautifully drunk. It's like this deep, warm, spring-like relaxation, completely enveloping your limbs, but all without the hangover? It really grounds this highly mystical text in actual physical wellness. All right, moving to part 2, decoding the dragon, tiger, and yin-yang. If you've ever read any Taoist philosophy, you know they absolutely love their animal metaphors. To get to that state of ultimate wellness we just talked about, we have to decode them. The ancient masters essentially created a cheat sheet, mapping out the 5 elements to specific alchemical animal codes. They hid their methods to protect them. So when they say the green dragon, they actually mean the element of wood, located in the east. The white tiger is metal, in the west. The vermilion bird represents fire and mercury in the south. And the black tortoise is water and lead in the north. So this isn't a zoo we're talking about. It's a map of your internal organs and the specific energetic properties they hold. The entire goal is to bring the dragon and the tiger, the east and the west, into perfect harmony right in the center. And this mapping reveals a core Taoist worldview. The human body is an exact replica of the macrocosmic universe. The text explicitly states that just as the sky has the sun and the moon, the human body possesses its very own internal light and cycles. Your body literally has its own seasons, its own waxing and waning. By aligning your internal rhythms with the natural laws of the universe, you harness that universal power. It's a profound thought. You aren't just living in the universe. You are the universe in miniature. Let's look at part 3, the magpie bridge and the internal microcosm. So, if we have all these diverse internal energies bouncing around, the dragon, the tiger, the sun, the moon, how do they actually communicate? Well, they communicate via the magpie bridge. This is such a beautiful concept. It's inspired by the ancient Chinese myth of the Milky Way, where magpies form a literal bridge once a year to allow the separated weaver girl and cowherd to finally meet. In internal alchemy, the upper and lower magpie bridges are energetic pathways. Without these bridges, your yin and yang energies remain tragically separated. The upper bridge acts as a heavenly ladder, connecting the upper palate and the flow of energy in your head. The lower bridge acts as a river raft, allowing energy to cross the lower parts of your torso. They are the absolute vital connections that allow your energy to circulate completely. And here is the exact internal journey that energy takes. The practitioner actively guides the vital energy, often called the water or lead, up through 3 major checkpoints on the back of the body. First, it starts at the tailbone. Then it moves up to the upper spine, which is known as the jaji. Third, it hits the jade pillow at the base of the skull. And finally, it pushes right through into the brain, which the text calls the Niwan, or the marrow sea. This is the literal process of physically moving and refining your vital life force, sending it all the way to the brain to deeply nourish your spirit. This brings us to part 4, heat, where intention meets creation. Now, moving all this energy requires an engine, right? In alchemy, fire or heat represents your mental focus. It is incredibly powerful, but the text gives some really strict warnings about the dangers here. Water fears being too dry, fire fears being too cold. It's a hyper-delicate balance. If your intention is way too forceful, you dry out your internal resources. But if it's too lax, the process just goes cold and nothing transforms. Above all, an undisciplined mind or a straying spirit ruins the whole process entirely. The commentator notes that even the slightest error, like literally a fraction of a hair's difference in your focus or timing, means the internal elixir will simply not form. To manage this crazy balancing act, practitioners use 2 types of mental focus: martial fire and civil fire. Martial fire is intense. It's used actively to extract energy, to really force the dragon and tiger into motion. It's kind of like that initial aggressive boil when you're cooking on the stove, but you can't sustain that forever. Once the energy is gathered, you have to switch over to civil fire. Civil fire is gentle. It simply warms, nurtures, and follows the natural laws of the universe without forcing anything. It's the slow, steady simmer of long-term internal cultivation. So who negotiates between the martial and the civil, or between the water and the fire? The text introduces this really cool concept called the yellow matchmaker, or Huangpo. The yellow matchmaker represents the earth element, which sits in the exact center of it all. In practical terms, this is your pure, unwavering, quiet intention. It's the mediator. Just as a real matchmaker brings together 2 opposing families, your central intention is what gently coaxes the active dragon and the passive tiger to unite, ensuring they don't destroy each other in the process.
And finally, part 5, the fetus, or the ultimate rebirth.
This is the grand climax of the entire alchemical process, and the language here gets incredibly bold. The text literally talks about stealing from heaven and earth and snatching creation. This is that audacious Taoist concept that you aren't just a passive observer sitting in the universe. By mastering these energetic cycles, you are capturing or stealing the universe's purest, most primordial energy. You're taking it back for yourself to completely reverse the aging process and rebuild both your physical body and your spiritual self from the ground up. The text uses a very specific number to describe this culmination: 10. This is the metaphor of the 10 months of gestation. Just as a human child takes roughly 10 lunar months to fully develop in the womb, the immortal fetus, which is your fully realized, perfected spiritual energy, requires a dedicated period of quiet internal gestation. It has to be perfectly rounded, nurtured by that gentle civil fire we talked about, until it is completely mature and ready for ultimate transcendence. The absolute peak of this practice is captured perfectly by this gorgeous quote from the text. One morning, success is achieved unnoticed by others, and all around becomes a palace of luminous night. I absolutely love this. It shows that true spiritual achievement isn't flashy at all. There are no fireworks outside, you might look exactly the same to your neighbors, but internally, you've achieved this profound, silent triumph. You've reached ultimate harmony, and your internal world has transformed into a luminous palace. We've covered a ton of ancient ground today, decoding dragons, tigers, internal fires, and magical bridges. But the core message here is timeless. It is really all about bringing your scattered energies into one focused, harmonious center. So I'll leave you with this question. Will you begin the quiet, meticulous work of exploring and balancing your own internal universe? Just imagine how employing even a fraction of this ancient focus could quiet the chaos of your modern life. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I really encourage you to keep exploring the incredible depths of your own internal landscape.